Morning, it's Martin from Martin's Engine Services. Well, it's a familiar sight here. We have the Vauxhall Vivaro in front of us. Um, Astute viewers may notice there are actually some more parts attached. We have the intercooler, and yes, we have all the injectors in. And the biggest news is it actually runs. I didn't film that little bit last night because I'd stopped for the day about 5 o'clock, and just after I went indoors, the courier arrived with the injector. I thought, wow, that's fantastic. So curiosity got the better of me. So I came back down here last night, put the injector in, bled it up. It didn't take too much to bleed it up. I cranked it a bit and then kept pumping the primer and kept going. And I undid a couple of injector lines just briefly, and that was all it took. And away she went. And it does run on all four cylinders for a change. It's been a while. And it sounded fine. I only ran it for about 5 minutes. I did put the breather on the top because you've got open ports in the head here to the oil, and the cam's under there. It'll launch it everywhere. So I put that on. And this morning I just put on the intercooler circuit. So everything is now connected. All the breathers are on. Everything's correct apart from the air filter, but the mass air's all in place now. So everything should be as it requires to be to run properly. So that's all good news. Really is good news. And what I've ended up with is the three injectors I got from the guy I got the cylinder head from. This injector here in number 3 had actually had the top off and was actually missing a spring. Now I had a spring and a washer from the old injectors off this vehicle, and I kept those odds and ends just for the hell of it, basically. And I was able to reassemble that injector using those parts. This one that's arrived here is actually a different Bosch part number to the others, but they are basically one and the same. There seems to be two different part numbers for the same injector. Don't quote me on this, but they seem to be interchangeable, and the computer hasn't thrown any fault codes of any description. Well, not for those anyhow, but I'm sure it'll do something weird at some point. So that's good. So I'm going to fire it up in a minute. You can see how she goes. I'm going to warm it up thoroughly so I know everything's good, and I want to see if we get any other fault codes come along and any other issues. There's going to be something that's going to play up invariably, and we've disturbed things. You see, old adage, just because they was working before, they might not be working now. And obviously, I've still got a few spare parts to pick from, but certain electrical components I haven't. So we shall have to find out. I did just recheck the oil this morning, and that hasn't moved because I did actually crank this over the other little while ago and get the to get the oil pressure up. So no, it's all right. The only problem I have got, and I saw this a couple of days ago, and I was absolutely I went beyond annoyed when I saw it. The clutch release bearing, or the concentric slave cylinder, has of course now decided, once everything's back together, to start leaking fluid. Now this bearing in here, or this clutch in here, has was put in here about a year and a half ago. And I'll tell you the saga of what happened there. The original clutch slave cylinder had exploded, contaminated the clutch. Clutch was pretty worn out. So I took it all apart, which is not a nice job on these, really. It's not bad, but there's so many parts to come off. It's easy with the front off, obviously, and that's what I tend to do. And I went and bought from my local supplier one of those clutches in the the yellow and black box with the white writing on, those high, very good quality German clutches. Clutches? No, Martin's off again. Clutches, that's it, he was right. And I got the whole kit, put it all together as normal. Now, what I do tend to do with these, because those bearings are so prone to failure, is just put the gearbox in with a couple of bolts, bleed it all, and see if it actually works. Excuse me. And I put it all in with a couple of bolts. Now, I do not pressure bleed or vacuum bleed these clutch cylinders. I just bleed them by gravity. I let the fluid run through, lock off the bleed valve, gently press the pedal a couple of times about halfway down and repeat. And the bleed on these is actually at the top of the pipe. You can't see it here, but it's at the top. So the air's got to come back from the cylinder sort of naturally. Now, this I've always found is a safe way of doing it, rather than subjecting these cylinders to any sort of negative pressure, which they're not used to. So I put it in, I bled it up, and my neighbour walked in at that point to see how I was doing, and I was standing there chatting to him, and then I watched the fluid pouring out the bottom of the gearbox. He looked at me, I looked at him, and he thought, oh blimey, Martin's going to go bang. So I took the gearbox out again, well, it's only 2 bolts, and the brand new quality cylinder had failed. Right, so I shot back to my parts supplier with it, and while we was looking at this component, we saw on the back that it was made in the far off land where all the bad parts seem to come from. Great. So they didn't have another one in stock locally, but their other branch, which is about 40 miles from where it did, have another quality German brand in stock. So I basically shot down on a Saturday, collected that, come back, and I was about to put that in when I noticed it on the box. It wasn't made in that far off land, but it was made in another sort of halfway between land that's known for slightly bad parts. I'm not going to name companies and I'm not going to name brands and countries because that's not fair. But I put it in and it worked okay. Now, bearing in mind this vehicle's been nearly 5 months off the road now, and this clutch had done so little work since I put it in about 4,000 miles, it hadn't even worn the writing off the clutch plate. Now, I put it all back, bled it up the other day, and it was working fine, and now you see I've got a tray underneath. That tray down there is actually catching the fluid as it's dripping out. So, we've now got to take all that gearbox out again, all them drive shafts, all that suspension, to change yet another quality component that has failed. Let me just say that to give you a clue of the brand of it's failed, it's not that lucky. I think you can all guess the brand. Now, I had a similar problem with that transit earlier this year with a couple of bad clutches from this company, and they're supposed to be the best. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to tell the customer about this and say, right, you've got 2 options. Either A, we put another pattern one in, and I'm giving it no guarantee on it working, or I'm going to go to Vauxhall's and I'm going to get a genuine GM unit. This will probably be about £150 worth, maybe more, but I think that is the only way forward now. And I think from now on, I'm going to tell people that's it. If you want clutch components like that, you've got to buy original. So that's Martin's major moan over for the day so far. So I'll get things set up, and then we're going to fire this up, and I'm going to warm it up and see how it gets on. So I won't show you the whole process of an engine warming up, but I'll bring you along for a few of the highlights. So let me get set up and then open the door up and fire it up. I think it might get a bit of smoke out this, because I dare say the catalytic converter's got an awful lot of unburnt diesel in it, and probably the exhaust has after the amount of smoke from the last engine. So it could be interesting. So let's get set up and see where we go from there. Right, before I start, I'm just going to just see if we got any fault codes. I've obviously had wires off and bits and pieces fiddling around, so you'll see what's going on. Airflow sensor circuit. Okay. And heating and air conditioning system. Well, he will have a fault code for that because the heater box is laying on the floor next to the vehicle. So, right, let's clear those out. Although that airflow code was actually a circuit code. So, yeah, it's come straight back. Right. Hopefully we haven't got a bad airflow sensor now, because we didn't before, but what did I think was going to happen? Right, we are all ready to start now. So, I haven't tried this today, so here goes. Wow, how about that? But hey, it's alive! It's alive! Well, that started really well. Glow plug light went out in 5 seconds, and that was it. Brilliant. get away from all the noise. Well, that obviously indicates to me that we haven't got any problems with any fuel leaking back or leaky injectors or anything of that nature. And what did that do? Turn over, what, 4 or 5 seconds? Started on all cylinders, no misfiring. Well, I'm delighted with that. Oh dear. The lurgy's still going. And of course we've got check injection come up on there and the spanner lights come on. Need we ask any more? Right, have a look. Alternator's charging nicely. Desired idle speed's good. Cruise pressure sensor, mass flow. Now the mass airflow is actually reading. Fuel temperature is showing at -7. Okay, that. Alright, we don't know about that. Sometimes this data's not totally correct. It's best to go to OBD because you get the true data, but it all seems to be there. It's bringing the idle down now. Well, yeah. Atomic air pressure's reading at atmospheric. So let's just see if the turbo's working. I'm trying to manoeuvre opening the door with the lead connected. I've got the old scan tool on it because that does the injector coding, so I thought I'd stay with that for now. Right. Let's gently rev her up. Ah, no communication. That's because Martin just pulled the wire out. Never mind. Well, we do have turbo. It's making all them sort of whistly noises. Right, do not unplug the wire when you open the door this time. Well, it seems to be doing stuff. Let's see if we've created any new fault codes yet. Nope, just airflow sensor. Oh dear. Well, let's have a look at the smoke coming out. It doesn't actually smell too horrible. I mean, obviously that exhaust is going to be pretty contaminated, so I can't argue about that. So yeah, there it is. The old girl runs again. It's alive. I'm really pleased with that. I mean, I guess all them parts in the box down there can't be important then, can they? All jokes aside. Let's have a little wander around to the front and see if it's leaking any other fluids. Nope, everything else is staying in so far. Well, excellent. Yeah, it sounds very sweet actually. Very pleased with that. So, dying of the lurgy again. So what I'm going to do now is going to warm her right up to make sure everything's okay. And then I guess we need a new airflow meter and a clutch release bearing. So one of them I don't mind changing, the other one let's not go there. I'm going to speak to the customer and let him know about that bearing and decide what he wants to do, but personally I'm not putting anything else in there but an original GM unit. I think they're made by Valeo, France, being obviously a Renault, but I'd rather have the genuine one than what you think is a good one, and it comes from you know where. So there's good news, and as always, bad news. I guess that's the world these days. Anyhow, that is a little update on the life of the Vivaro that has returned. I'm really pleased with how that engine sounds. It's very sweet. Considering that's made of 3 different engines. So we got an odd piston, we got camshafts from a one scrap engine, came out the original engine, the used cylinder head and cam carrier. So yeah, it's a bit of a hybrid, so good result. Anyhow, I'll leave you with that on this rather pleasant but chilly morning, and I'll make a follow-up if anything else interesting happens, but I really hope we don't have to make a follow-up, other than I will demonstrate, well, I will show you what's happened to that clutch when I get it apart. So thanks very much indeed for watching. Please like and subscribe, and bye for now.